Hey y'all, it's Scarlet Gun. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for checking out this video on this game that I have a lot of emotions about. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. I know that this video topic is so different from my other upload. I'm still finding my place in what I want to talk about and make art for. And yep, I've got a little redesign. I'm liking this version a lot more, as the last sprites were more of a stand-in until I had more time to make what I wanted. So get yourself some sippy, get yourself some scrummy, and enjoy this little video essay adjacent, draw with me type of video that I'm hoping to do more of in the future. This video covers Marathon's busy public test this weekend, and people with barely disguised biases who were desperate for the game to fail. I want to talk about why online spaces insist on wanting projects to fail in the first place, and where that hate tends to stem from. But most importantly, we're adults here, and we can talk about this topic civilly among ourselves. I ask that you don't try to find anyone mentioned here, and definitely do not insult or berate them on Bungie's behalf. Let's keep it respectful and keep the conversation civil in the comments. So, to start us off with, what is Marathon? The studio Bungie behind Halo and Destiny has been working on Marathon. Their latest video game is set to release on March 5th, tomorrow. Marathon is a stylish first-person extraction shooter where you play as a runner inhabiting a shell. What this means is that your mind has been severed from your real human body a long time ago and is now stored in a kind of database. Now your only purpose is to infiltrate Tau Ceti 4, a planet whose research colony disappeared mysteriously, and you've been tasked with finding information and goods to assist 6 different factions that you can align yourself with. This shell you're inhabiting is a cybernetic body that is recreated upon death, as it is sent to this planet over and over and over to either die or escape with some delicious goodies. Your goal is nothing else but assisting these monolith factions by bringing them back what they want from Tau Ceti. These factions pay you for your work in better gear, better equipment, or a better body, but none of these factions are inherently good, nor do any of them really have your best interests in mind. I love this game. I love this concept. I put 30 hours into just the free open test this weekend, when I knew I would have to redo all of this gameplay to get where I was again with the full game's release. So I'll tell you now, I am very biased. Was I good at the game? No. I'm an artist. This tweet called me out. This person said, Marathon is too easy right now because the only other players are graphic designers. I was handing out people easy loot left and right. It was bad. Tau Ceti's stylish, bright-colored world, with this plant overgrowth and in-game graffiti, reminds me so much of Portal 2, one of my favorite video games of all time. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. This is important to get out of the way. Marathon has had some issues last year that did turn some people off of it, and everyone's free to make their own decisions about what games they do and don't support. I'm not going to speak on how I felt about these issues at the time, or now, because they've long been handled, and it's clearly not affecting the game in any way at this point. Also, another point that's important to make is that I didn't grow up with Destiny or Halo. I have no knowledge of these games' history and no nostalgia towards them. Because of that, I have no view on Bungie's past games, what they're good at, they're bad at. I do think that this is important to note because whether it's nostalgia or bitterness at these beloved franchises not being the main focus of the company anymore, it does seem to be a sore spot for a lot of people. Well, now that the intro's out of the way, and before we talk about the topic, I wanted to talk about my art for this video and what you'll be seeing. Immediately on playing the tester, I was thinking I need to design some fan skins for these shells just for funsies. I love Marathon, and seeing something so beautiful and bizarre, it gives me this kind of beautiful fluttering in my heart where I really want to support it and see it succeed. Ever since I saw Vandal, who originally went by the name Glitch in the cinematic, I was kind of obsessed with her. She has this odd surreal beauty that's almost uncanny, and this sporty kind of rocker or roller derby girl vibe that I just find really captivating. While she went through some changes as I got closer to the game's release, she stayed my favorite, and her gameplay is pretty similar to Valorant's Neon, who is my favorite character back when I played. I actually already had made one cute little art piece for Vandal, but I had a really cute idea to instead design a fan skin for her. I really wanted to lean into something that fits with the world, like an alternate skin or shell variant for one of the factions, but I want to draw Bingus. I don't care. So we've talked a bit about what Marathon is and why I like it, so what's the situation exactly? Why is Concord, a game that shut down permanently only 2 weeks after the game's release, and one that had a supposed development cost of about $400 million even in the title? It's a ridiculous talking point to compare the two. Well, yeah, it is silly. Before its public release on March 5th, Bungie held a Server Slam, an event spanning 4 days from February 26th till March 2nd. Their goal was to fit as many players as possible in their servers, and make any last-minute changes before release. The first day of the Server Slam saw a peak of 140,000 players. However, it was intense on both social media and the Marathon Discord. The game was seeing a lot of mixed reviews, and social media was criticizing it heavily. People were criticizing its character design, gameplay, UI, art style, and most of all comparing it to Embark Studios' Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders, which was released in October of last year, is everywhere at the moment. It's popular to play and popular to watch. Although Ark is also an extraction shooter, its skill-based matchmaking means players can lean toward their own way of playing the game, choosing to hunt and battle other players to steal their loot, or choose to fight only the various robots that spawn in the game and be more passive with other players. The game has a simple color palette with oranges, blues, and grays that are easy on the eyes, and a simple in-game UI. It's built a dedicated fanbase of a lot of people very familiar with gaming and a lot of casual players who would probably be confused with Marathon and other extraction shooters with busier plotlines and menus. So I'll say now, I don't have beef with Arc Raiders. A lot of my friends and family love it and play it all of the time, and I've borrowed a Steam Family copy and played it a few times myself. It's fun, so I'm not like slamming all the Arc chudlets for loving their game or anything. But like I said, many of Arc Raiders fans are dedicated, and they were swarming around the discussion of Marathon everywhere I looked, comparing the numbers of the two games' public tests carefully, such as their sale, refund, and player count. The reaction to Marathon seemed almost overwhelmingly negative on the first day of its Server Slam. Some streamers really struggled with the learning curve, and there are some really valid issues on the UI.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you the game has no problems, because it has some real ones, and I think the conversation around Marathon's legitimate issues is getting completely buried under an avalanche of bad faith nonsense that serves nobody. The most valid criticism floating around right now, and the Marathon subreddit has been hammering this hard over the Server Slam, is the user interface situation, particularly with items and inventory icons, and they are completely right. Someone posted a thread with a screenshot showing multiple shield items sitting side by side in their inventory, and they are visually identical. Same shape, same color, same everything. You cannot tell them apart without mousing over each one individually to read what it actually is. One of them is 50% stronger than another. You would never know. Another post puts it even more bluntly, showing a whole grid of items with the caption, "Which ones are your favorite to run?" What do you mean you can't tell the difference? The poster says there are 4 different versions of one item in that screenshot and you would never guess. And honestly, they're right. They write, "I cannot be ducked to have to hover over each of these just to see what is better and what does what, especially out in the open after a very loud firefight."
However, these reasonable reports from players were outshined by a lot of negativity from users just repeating blanket statements about what they saw others didn't like.
I do like to see what people say about things. I do. But I want to see at least some reasonable thought behind it. Like somebody just leaving a comment, "Oh, UI sucks, bro." Okay, but like why? Why do you think it sucks?
"Oh, bro, it sucks, bro. It's so dumb."
But like specifically, why do you think it sucks?
"Oh, bro, it just looks so trash. It looks like Roblox."
Like, no, I'm not interested in those opinions, really. I want something that's at least trying to be objective and not repeating what someone else is or just looking at something real fast and like,
"Oh, that's not good."
So I know there's a lot of brain ride opinions out there, you know, and that's what I saw in Marathon. Like just the stuff, again, like I'm telling you, I'm terminally online. So the stuff I saw, I was like, this stuff doesn't look really thought out. So
this led to things like Twitter threads of people reviewing just watching these struggling streamers' gameplay instead of testing the game and writing a review of the gameplay itself. One user wrote, quote, "I've watched an hour of Marathon. Here are my thoughts, /thread. Number 1. It reminds me of an arcade game you'd spend 10 credits to play. You know, the ones of replicate weapons and giant screens. Number 2. There's too much on the screen. The HUD drowns out the cool art style. Number 3. It's not as fast-paced as I thought it would be, but that might only be because the learning curve appears lengthy. Number 4. The environment seems lackluster in diversity and scale. The gameplay mechanics look solid, but the lack of a supporting environment overshadows the gameplay for me. Number 5. I've popped into multiple streams, and the majority are confused on what or how to do things. Again, there's a healthy learning curve here, which is great for some players, but this leaves me to my last thought. Number 6. This game is not for casual players, but we knew that beforehand. Not only will it cater more to hardcore and or fast Twitch gamers, the game's watchability seems limited for all of the thoughts stated above. These are my very quick, very brief initial thoughts on Marathon. I have not and will not be playing this game, so take these opinions as mine only. I've said multiple times that I hope that this game is successful for his target demo, and I think it will be. If you like it, awesome. For me, I'll see you topside. /end thread, end quote. So this user hadn't even played the game. He wrote a review formatted thread from only watching streamers. Also take a look at the timestamps, 2:39 p.m. This was only an hour and a half into the event, which started at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which doesn't include streamers' initial download of the game, intro cutscene, gameplay tutorial, and UI tutorial. So what was this guy even reporting on? The first 10 minutes of these streamers getting into a real match with other players? Not to mention how comical everything about this is. I mean, look at his icon and how he ends his message. I'll see you topside refers to Arc Raiders World, meaning he'll be returning back to that game. He repeats the struggles the streamers expressed and then says at the end, take these opinions as mine only. But they're not his opinions, they're the streamers. This user's points don't sound overly critical or overly forgiving regarding the game, but the point still stands that these can't possibly be the user's real opinions on this topic, because there's no way for him to know without experiencing the game in real time. When another user mocked him for only having watched and not experienced anything himself, the user stated, quote, do you only form opinions on movies if you've starred in the movie? You experience things through direct or indirect research and then you form opinions. That's how opinions works. Unquote. What an interesting point. The key differences here is that movies are not video games, especially games that function like Marathon. There are games that function as walking simulators where you can experience the story without high difficulty gameplay. And I love watching playthroughs of those games and experiencing their stories through someone else. But I do think that Marathon, and many other games, simply are not things that can be experienced that same way. As someone who played the Server Slam after only being able to watch gameplay uploads that Bungie released, those were really fun to watch, but Marathon, I do feel, is so immersive in its world and sound design that being in it yourself is important to the experience. I think that goes for a lot of genres across video games. We all feel the emotions secondhand of seeing our favorite streamer or YouTuber get scared, laugh, or be relieved, but being the one shaking in fear holding the controller, experiencing a silly game with friends, or feeling your shoulders finally release some tension after making it to that checkpoint in a stressful area yourself is something unique to what video games offer us that movies can't. I'm sure that you've watched a horror or a thriller film and been frustrated out of your mind watching the characters make decisions that you wouldn't. Video games give us that satisfaction of making those decisions ourselves to see how much of a level head we have in high-stress situations. For example, watching Ninja play Marathon and abandon a revive on his teammate and wide swing with 2 unused heals in his inventory while he's one-shot to kill a UESC that was not charging him while both of his teammates were already down, and then holler about the game being bad made me feel that way a lot.
Oh my god!
However, I can't make fun of him too hard when my hands were shaking as I was about to complete an objective and I was spotted by another player. What should have been a public testing of the game's servers running at max capacity and a chance for the devs to make last-minute bug fixes was becoming a way for dedicated Arc Raiders fans to put the game down before it even had a chance to succeed. An Arc news account stated, quote, Marathon launched its free test play today. It didn't come close to touching Arc Raiders' daily player count, and many streamers are saying the game feels too slow and more like a boring PvE game. One comment we spotted was, if Apex Legends and Roblox had a baby, end quote. The attached photo included Steam stats for top 100 played games by current players, showing Arc Raiders 2 spots above Marathon. One Arc Raiders fan account that posts streamer clips was only uploading clips of streamers dealing with bugs or dying in-game, giving the game a bad image to lift Arc Raiders up. Even funnier is that this same account clipped out that awful play from Ninja that I just showed you and only showed him tweaking out after, painting the game in a bad light, while not showing how his bad decision making led to the team's death and it was not the fault of the game. I would genuinely be surprised if you clicked on this video and hadn't heard about Concord yet. It's a crazy story, but I'll sum it up quickly. A lot of videos go really in depth on this game's story, but I'm really only talking about this game because it's a hard one for the gaming community to let go of. Concord was a first-person hero shooter, a game along the lines of Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, that was worked on by the now closed Firewalk Studios and published by Sony. It lasted only 14 days before it shut down along with the studio shortly after. It was claimed that the game cost $400 million to develop, but that's up for a lot of debate and it hasn't really been officially confirmed yet. I doubt Sony will ever outright tell us the cost, but it is likely pretty high. The game had well-animated cinematics ready, but most of the content, like more maps and characters, never saw the light of day. While it did have a very expensive look to it, it just didn't grab people's attention and flew completely under the radar. By the time people were covering it, it was already over. This game's monumental fumble of the bag has led to users using it as a constant comparison point to other games made by big studios that they either suspect will fail or straight up prey on its downfall. But really, what is there to compare about Concord and Marathon? Here we see this upload where the user stated, quote, "Gamers dropped Concord so fast it became a meme timeline, and now everyone's calling this upcoming shooter Marathon Concord 3.0 before it even hits March 5th. People are posting the whole saga from Concord shutdown and Highguard's player implosion to Horizon Hunters 2026 in meme form, while Bungie tries to flip the narrative with a free server slam from February 26th to March 2nd on PC, PS5, and Xbox. Some hype it up with Shroud clearing his schedule, others are calling out the salt. The real question is, will Marathon buck live service fatigue or just fuel the next meme cycle? The attached picture is the Concordian timeline, which starts with Concord, which released on August 23rd, 2024. I was actually just about done with this script when I reloaded Twitter and saw Highguards shutting down after one final update. That is a bummer. I am genuinely sad about Highguard. I was actually going to make this video on that game, but I honestly got so bummed about the team just getting dwindled down to about 20 people that I kind of couldn't even bring myself to do it. And now it's shutting down. I had even drawn fan art of some of the game's characters already, I just had to post it. Well, the video must continue. Although Highguard is also an expensive game that got a terrible return on its cost to make, is it really even a Concord clone? A lot of people's dislike came from being let down by Highguard's release not being another Titanfall, and finding it a little lackluster to end the Game Awards with. People were very aware of its release. Then we see Marathon, which was already seeing such mixed opinions that we genuinely couldn't even say what would come of this game. Does it really fit in this timeline either? And what even is Horizon Hunters Gathering? Oh, this is actually kind of cute. It's a 3-team PvE game in Horizon Zero Dawn's world, and clearly aimed at a younger audience. It looks very sweet, but still, this game's trailer from 3 weeks ago has 800,000 views, so already that's not a Concord clone. The point of Concord was that no one even knew it came out until it was going under, and it doesn't even have a release date yet. So why are people jumping the gun on wanting these games to fail before they can even do anything? While looking for tweets on this topic, I found a really good article written by Mikhail Klementov titled, "Not Everything is Concord." It was a really good read, and there I found a linked article that he wrote about Marathon, titled "Kill the CEO in Your Head." It discusses the idea behind this obsession that we have with games marketing and how successful they will be. I'll have both of his articles linked down below. He writes about how, quote, "Rarely, if ever, has playing a game made me wonder, or, God forbid, feel anything about sales. I don't like to think about games in terms of Steam charts, or audience, or units sold. And although I have thought about games in those terms, it does not come naturally to me. The impulse to write in that mode, I think, is driven more by social media than by the specifics of how any individual game plays. I assume, or hope rather, that this is true for you too. So why did business archery become one of the primary ways in which people talk about games online? Look around and you'll see it everywhere, from people with no obvious reasons to pocket watch. Surely they're not investors in these companies. Hand-wringing over sales, upcoming games discussed in terms of whether they'll find and retain an audience, barely disguised glee over shrinking concurrent player counts." End quote. These thoughts, especially the last point about this barely disguised glee, I think couldn't capture better what's happening here. Here I'm going to spoil the premise of the 2014 film Nightcrawler. I know. I'm talking about a gritty, unhinged movie with this cutesy scrapbook aesthetic, and my character looks like a paper doll. I know. Just let me cook, okay? If you don't want to be spoiled on this movie and its premise, please skip to the next chapter. I'll add one to click onto. The director behind Nightcrawler, Dan Gilroy, wanted to explore the symbiotic relationship between unethical journalism and consumer demand. The main character, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, is Lou Bloom, a man who becomes obsessed with becoming a stringer, which is a freelance journalist, photographer, or videographer for a news agency. This obsession begins when he sees these stringers swarm a car crash just to be the ones to send the footage to the news first. However, although Lou wants to follow in their footsteps and be a part of this career too, he struggles to get to the events of these various tragedies that the news wants to cover, often beaten to the crime scene by others, who have better resources and bigger teams. To combat this, he begins tampering with crime scenes that the news may have otherwise considered too uninteresting to cover to get more exciting footage. This escalation with Lou grows worse and worse, and soon he is creating tragedies just to film them to become more successful. This film is intense and harsh on the topic of unethical journalism, so much so that to compare it to an online space almost feels ridiculous. However, people do gain traction, online fame, and money from being the first ones to report the biggest story. The once successful Bungie has failed. The pull to exaggerate the result of a studio's product and make it sound like a deserved downfall is a juicy story, one that we all can't help ourselves but tap into. But without looking into the story ourselves, we can fall victim to the modern reporter, which is basically just your average Twitter user who bought the verified tag, spreading an agenda just to rally people to their account. How many long YouTube videos are there that discuss a video game studio's unforgivable behavior, disrespect towards their players, scummy selling tactics, and eventual deserved downfall? This has even spawned a subgenre on YouTube of so-called deserved downfalls of various internet businesses and figures. How long until these stories are not enough, that we want to craft these stories in real time to gain a wider audience for ourselves? Everywhere we hear a reported story, but the writer has a point that they want to make, and it's important that we make distinctions in the news, what we hear and what we trust. I also have a bias. I mean, I'm the one making marathon fan art here. I think we know how I feel about it. So let's talk about our next point. TheBurntPeant was originally an Escape from Tarkov streamer who started playing Ark Raiders, and his fans prefer him to play either game. When Marathon released, Peanut's fanbase were really angry about him playing, and spammed for him to play Ark until he had to change his chat to subscribers only. The thing is though, is that only when his viewers get the time to tap in do they get to enjoy him playing Ark. But he plays Ark almost daily with 7 to 9 hour streams. Obviously, no one's forcing him. He's a grown man and can make his own decisions on what he plays and what community he cultivates. But his chat clearly did not want him playing Marathon. It was something new for him when his schedule is the same game nearly every day. He got pretty upset and lashed out his chat for the backlash against the game, which I'll show here.
Shut up! I'm hot fresh. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at me. I'm hating on the new game right when it released. I'm the coolest. Look, I'm hating on the new game as soon as it releases. I'm part of the cool crowd. You shut up! That happens with every game! Literally, the game you're telling me to go play Ark Raiders, you literally did it to as well! On day one! Shut up! You literally did the same thing to Ark, and that's what you're telling me to go play! If we keep dogging on new games, okay, what you're gonna have until you are 90 is Call of Duty 56, Halo 72, okay? That's what you're gonna get. If you know what I'm talking about? Everybody's like, oh, dude, it's the same game every year. Then don't shit on it day one when they try something new. Let them work, let them cook. Let them cook or you're gonna get Call of Duty 96. I'm not living with Call of Duty 96.
He actually made a really good point. When he first began migrating from Tarkov to Ark, Some of his fans didn't want him to move over and criticized the new game. I do think this was likely a loud minority, as most of his chat in the streams that I checked out when Ark first released seemed pretty universally excited. On Saturday, February 28th, once he completed his sponsored stream from Bungie, it seems like he did want to continue playing Marathon even after the sponsorship ended, but his friend Hutch wanted to stop the second the sponsored stream ended and go play Ark instead. Peanut does seem a bit disappointed, but the two leave the game and play Ark. That day, he also had plans to play Ark Raiders with Gingy, another streamer who originally played Escape from Tarkov and is now playing Ark Raiders 2, that evening.
Well, that concludes the sponsor.
Thank you, Bungie, for sponsoring today's stream.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. Okay. All right. What do you? All right. I was supposed to get off and then come back at 7. Do I just stay on? Let me think.
Do you play Ark Raiders with me?
You sure you want to play Marathon?
Else at 7 o'clock for 13 hours. Yeah, I think you do.
13 hours. 13.
That is a pretty hefty day.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
13.
Okay. All right, I'll stay on. Are you sure you want to go play Ark? Both games are wiping. Anything we do in either of them kind of doesn't really matter.
Yes, I would like to play Ark. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I guess we can
very much so. Very much so.
Okay. All righty then. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll go play some Ark.
So in between a couple of other games, he ended up having a 13-hour stream day where he played Marathon for 2.5 hours, and Ark 6 hours total. Really, he's a grown man. He can pick what he plays, and he has the freedom to turn his friend down or agree with him to go play Ark Raiders. I don't think his friend is evil for wanting to play a different game, or for not liking Marathon, or even for pushing Peanut to have a long stream day. That's also obviously what Peanut's considering in this clip. I'm not trying to push that Peanut was so sad chungus and it's all his friend's fault. It's not that deep. But I do think that his fans begging him to stop trying a new shiny game, and his friend wanting him to move back to Ark must have been a little disappointing. Like I said, Peanut plays Ark Raiders for hours and hours and hours. He obviously enjoys the game, but there's nothing wrong with him wanting to test out something new. This overwhelmingly negative reaction when the game had only been out for a couple days brings me to my next point about another group that overwhelmingly hated this game. I had to sit through some unks while making this video. Dudes who were dressed like they're still waiting in line outside GameStop to pick up their copy of Halo 3 in the Big 26. I am talking about a flat top hat and sunglasses indoors. I have trudged through inflammatory filth on a topic that really shouldn't be all this intense in the first place. I've had to listen to Asmongold talk about women. I saw a YouTube video while looking up videos on people reacting to the new game, and this one was dramatically titled, "Marathon Player Count Collapses. Streamers Freak Out. Bungie is Panicking." The player count shown on the thumbnail, sitting at 23,000, was at the crack of dawn on the final day of the test, a Monday, by the way, when most people have school or work. What kind of unemployed take is this? And is this so-called collapse really true? The video itself didn't even discuss Bungie panicking at all, instead just insulting TheBurntPeant, calling him a shill. The definition of a shill is an accomplice of a gambler or swindler who acts as an enthusiastic customer to entice or encourage others. Peanut was very clearly publicly sponsored by Bungie to play the game. His stream had #ad on it, which every sponsored streamer includes in their title. It flew under no one's radar that him playing the server slam on Saturday was a sponsored stream. How could a publicly disclosed, advertised stream be Peanut pretending to be an enthusiastic customer? The user behind this video also cruelly insulted Bungie employees, and called anyone who likes the game autistic. Let's all raise our hand, guys. Do we love Marathon? He was just outright lying about the content of the video and instead just speaking cruelly towards other people. In another video by this user, he admitted he only opened the game for 15 minutes before he hated it. So what is this narrative of Marathon's tragic downfall before it even releases? And why is this narrative being spread by so many different groups of people? I believe that ultimately, this particular group I just talked about, these unks, if you will, are people who loved and identified with Bungie's previous Halo and Destiny, and are upset that Marathon is simply not aimed at them. The market is changing, and I'm sure it kind of sucks when a company that these people once loved are leaving them behind and appealing to a group that you don't see yourself in anymore. So dedicated Arc Raiders fans fighting for their territory to have the best extraction shooter, Twitter reply guys just hopping onto the topic to drum up engagement, and ex-Bungie loyalists who were bitter about the studio's new direction were all up against this game. How did the studio react? What came out of this bitter hate? Well, we don't know their reaction behind the scenes. I think any huge public testing like the server slam would have any team sweating. But is that bad? Does that make this whole game a mess and a deserved failure for having issues on a public test meant to test? So back to Peanut's point about Call of Duty 96. Yeah, I see his point. By not letting these devs know what they can do to fix their product, these critics are just insisting on their failure, which I feel, hypothetically allegedly in Minecraft, is their goal. With online criticism, it's easy to say this thing is bad and everyone who worked on it failed, and then walk away, having added essentially nothing to the conversation at all. Insisting a game is slop and wanting it to continue existing in that space until it makes for a more interesting story seems to be what some people's tactic is, an easy way to switch up. Klementov also wrote on this, writing, quote, "Engagement farmers with a short position on some new title have little incentive to recalibrate their take, barring major sentiment shifts, because often their whole approach is new game doomerism. If they do change their mind, I used to hate X, but now I'm hyped for it, the conversion becomes an engagement play of its own. These stakes are obviously lower in the metaphorical engagement market than in some real financial market, but for some people with monetized audiences, the money is actually quite real." End quote. For me, I was in the Marathon Discord and I checked it throughout the Server Slam event, and the issues people had with the game were quickly getting acknowledged or resolved. One of the devs, Andy Salisbury, opened up a feedback channel on the UI, an issue I mentioned earlier, only 2 hours into the event to gather data on what people thought needed fixing. Here he wrote, quote, "Hey all, thanks for your feedback and report so far. We'd love to make sure we're keeping a close eye on all of it. For those of you that have feedback about the in-game UI, please feel free to sound off here and let us know what you're thinking." End quote. They were listening and keeping tabs on what people had to say. By 10 p.m. Eastern Time, the development team's Twitter wrote, quote, "Server Slam Day 1 carries on. Thanks to all your feedback, you've got crucial intel that will help us make updates during the slam and tie up any loose ends as we continue towards March 5th. As we continue through the test, we wanted to give you a heads up on what we're seeing. Mouse input causing lag, voice not working in run, names changing to redacted, textures not loading in or performance issues, UI feedback, and PvP frequency." They continued to quote retweet the same post throughout the next day as they fixed and acknowledged player input. The response shifted considerably by the next couple days on social media. The dev team's daily recap posts letting everyone know what they saw players didn't like made players pretty happy. The ARC accounts that were attempting to destroy the game's reputation before Bungie could even fix the game's bugs ignored the positive changes the game was making, and continued ARC posting like normal because Marathon clearly wasn't a story where they could control and spin its narrative anymore. The positive feedback the game continued to get had nothing really to do with Arc Raiders. It clearly was not what they wanted it to be, the next Concord. The devs also commented that there are changes they won't be touching, as it's what fits the game's core aesthetic. Elliot Gray, a Bungie developer who worked on the game's user interface design, said, quote, "All jokes aside, there's plenty of work we can and will do as a team to respond to player feedback about inventory management, navigation, density of info, etc. But don't think for a second that we're gonna remove the sauce from the UI. Hashtag font slop takeover." Hashtag font slop takeover is so funny to me. I love this stance. This team is clear on their vision. and they're more than willing to adjust certain gameplay aspects to please the majority. The game's aesthetics are crucial and will likely remain mostly unchanged. As it became more clear that Bungie had successfully built excitement around Marathon throughout the weekend, the narrative had shifted. Marathon is now an underdog rising up from unreasonable hate, and its new growing player base were vindicated in their love for the game. Comments stated on Bungie's YouTube short announcing the end of the server slam had users saying, quote, "It was so fun. Pre-ordered the deluxe edition and have the collectors as well. There are its faults like any new game, but the people just slandering were so annoying. Lots of potential for Marathon, and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen." End quote. Quote, "I think it says something that I've been completely absorbed by this game, and I'm at work right now wanting to continue my runs. 50k in the vault by the end of the slam, and this game was an absolute blast, especially after seeing all the vitriol from people online, and then getting hands-on and truly seeing that this game is onto something phenomenal. I'm excited to see everybody in Tau City 4 on the 5th. End quote. And, quote, "I loved it. I'm a bit terrible and died a whole lot, but I can't wait for the full release. I just hope the player numbers go up over time and people stop with the herd mentality of hating on a game that clearly has had a lot of love and passion go into it from the devs." End quote. What a beautiful turnaround story for Bungie. I don't know any of these devs personally. I can't vouch for who they are as people, but can we do that with anybody on the internet? But I am happy that the studio's gamble on its vivid aesthetics and difficult gameplay won against so many AAA games becoming more and more unoriginal and sterilized. I'm happy that I have a new source of inspiration. I can't wait to make more fan art as I continue to play with my husband. And I'm glad that this game got the community that it needed. I didn't even talk about the game's ARG, but Marathon's built a dedicated community around solving puzzles to unlock the game's concept art, soundtrack, and lore. That is so freaking cool. I mean, I like this game. I wanted to buy and play it. But I also don't want the fanbase to feel so vindicated that it just becomes the next Marathon versus Arc Raiders. Not to be corny, but can't we all just get along? This brings me to my final point before my conclusion.
Eating a burger with no honey mustard.
Two things can exist at once. I'm going to describe a game. If a game that already exists comes to mind, awesome. If not, that's awesome too. The point will still stand either way. Imagine a first-person shooter, where two teams are both armed with utility to complete an opposing objective. One team must place and defend a bomb, while the other team has to infiltrate the space and defuse this bomb. Each round moves quickly, most of the time only lasting a couple of minutes. So, did you imagine a game like Rainbow Six Siege or Valorant? These games vary so widely in presentation and gameplay, so they've drawn wildly different fan bases. So should these games be trapped within their genre to only be compared to each other? Why can they not expand on certain concepts and leave other concepts behind? These two games are nothing alike other than concept. Is it not important for the studios behind these games to have competition? To inspire each other to make the best product that they can? If Marathon is successful enough to beat Arc Raiders, and what does that even mean? Then that means Embark Studios has to create better content for their players to keep them. If Arc Raiders is more successful than Marathon, then Bungie has to create better content for their players. Why does this space need only one game to reign supreme? One console to be better than the other? Having a monopoly only benefits the company on top, as now that there is no more competition, why did they have to put more resources into making their product the best it could ever be? Good enough is all it has to be if there's no other options for consumers to buy. The consumers themselves don't benefit from this at all. We're the ones who end up with a mid product. To conclude, I want to read the final paragraph of Klementov's article, Kill the CEO in Your Head, where it says, quote, "I want games to be interesting, and for consoles and peripherals to be inexpensive, goals that are, by and large, unattainable from my position at the periphery. Again, I will boldly assume this is true of you, the reader, as well. I hold no shares in these companies. The state of their business is largely no business of mine, so why would I trade my interest in art for the vulgar jargon of the corporate executive?" End quote. I love his final point about the art. That is always what Marathon was about to me. It's beautiful and strange looking and new, and what it does remind me of makes me really happy. I don't want the point of this video to be, I want you to buy Marathon for $40 because I like it, and everyone criticizing it sucks. I didn't pre-order Marathon until yesterday, after I'd already sunk in 30 hours into the server slam. Before the event even dropped, I had drawn and posted my silly little Vandal fan art to show my support. There is so much more that we can do to support the things that we love than just putting money into them. That art from before cost me nothing. This video cost me nothing either. I just wanted to draw and talk about something for a project that I found really beautiful. I drew Highguard art too because I liked the characters, and I wanted to support the game when I saw so much negativity towards it. I didn't pre-order Marathon blindly until I saw enough people seem to be buying it that it will have an alive online world. Or until both my husband and I liked the game, and we had friends who would play it with us too. The money that we have to spend on ourselves in this day and age is a precious and finite resource, and it's more important than ever to carefully consider how we spend it. That's why we always see those memes of your friend convincing you to buy a game that you boot up once to play with your friend group and never again, wasting your money entirely. It's a big letdown, and spending money on something where we feel like we didn't get our enjoyment's worth feels really bad. However, just because these games come from bigger studios, it's easy to forget that the people behind them are just as human as we are. It's important to be careful where our money goes and what we do with it, but flocking together to all make fun of something that hasn't been given the chance to prove itself isn't the way to handle things. On the internet, we can rally support easily to hate something. It's fun, and we come out of it with an exciting new story that we can listen to YouTubers repeat back to us and hear about the latest drama that we knew was going to happen all along. And I say this as someone who loves these videos. They're entertaining. But it is so important to take a step back and remember who's telling us these stories in the first place, and what they want us to take away from them. Now, more than ever, as the internet and the world around us becomes more hostile. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to make videos like this on topics I care about. I really think my goal is to talk about things that I like and want to build up. Like I said, I love the drums, but for my own sake, I think I want to leave that to someone else. Unfortunately, I was having color issues with OBS recording my Speedpaint throughout. By the end, it looks okay, but I'm gonna keep an eye on a better way to record my artwork in the future. So, this is my Bingus skin for Vandal. I kept her base game design overall the same, with a few tweaks like changing her hair or removing that layer around her torso. It came out pretty close to how I wanted it. I'm not 100% on it looking amazing, but I'm satisfied enough where it's at. She's pretty cute, and I had a lot of fun drawing it. I'll have the Speedpaint posted without all of the edits and stuff I put onto the screen onto my Patreon linked below. And there you can find a lot of my artwork featuring my own OCs and their little storylines. I mostly make art above videos, but I'm hoping to lean into blending the two more. Everything I do online with art, with videos, it's all for the love of the game. If you enjoy my stuff, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any issues or critiques, let me know too. You know, maybe some of my points were too unclear or too messy, I don't know. I want to make good videos, I want to get better at editing, so let me know. Okay, love you. Mwah.